Hello, sorry, I was on mute chatting to everyone. We are just, we're just waiting for a few more people to arrive. And if you have just joined us, if you could just introduce yourselves in the chat, type your name. If you can do it phonetically, that would be brilliant. What company you're from, where you are in the country. And this is the coffee and sandwich part of the event. So big welcome to everyone. And welcome to Nazi, Melissa. Who have we got? Everest from Southwark Council. Charmaine from Kingston upon Thames. Courtney, sorry if I'm missing everyone. I'm whizzing through the chat here. I think we're going to be quite a small group today, but that's great because it means everyone will get a chance to ask questions, etc. During the session. Navleen, welcome. Nicola from Transport for Wales. Kate from Ravensbourne University. Hawa from London. Louise from Healthcare Safety Investigation Branch. I think that's it so far. If anyone's just joined us, if you could introduce yourselves in the chat, say where you are, where you're from, where you are in the country maybe. We've got people from Southampton, from Birmingham, Zalfa, welcome. Anne from Grosvenor Property, welcome. We're just waiting for a couple more minutes and we'll kick off, just letting people through the doors and then we'll get started. So if who have we got? Sean from the Independent Office for Police Conduct in Sheffield. Welcome, Sean. Ian from Northumbria Police in Newcastle. Kelly Jenkins from the Coal Authority in Mansfield. And Gemma from the Northwest Ambulance Service in Bolton. Ian from Northumbria Police. Sorry if I'm repeating myself there. Sort of not going in. And hi, Leon from Barrier Networks in London. Hello, and Hanif from Base X. So I think we've got quite a lot to get through today. So I think we'll start now.
Okay,
so to you, Anna.
Thank you. So a huge welcome, everyone, and thank you for your interest in Trailblazers. Trailblazers are more than an award, and we'll share more about why that is during this event. It is lunchtime, so feel free to eat and drink. Today's event will conclude by 1:30 p.m. First slide. Okay, so for those that haven't had contact with me yet, I am Anna. I am the project manager for Trailblazers and REM Solutions. I'll be your main contact during your application for Trailblazers. And today I'm joined by Donna Robertson, who is also the project manager here at Race Equality Matters, who you'll hear from soon. And we also have Svetlana in the background, who is also project manager for Education and Insights, as well as content, who is running today's event for us. Next slide. So before we start, a bit of housekeeping. We acknowledge and are looking to help make our events more accessible. So closed captioning is enabled. This event is being recorded and it will be available for you to access later along with the slides. To minimize any disturbances, your sound will be auto-disabled. So please share ideas and questions in the chat and we will do our best to respond to all of your questions. Please be aware that Zoom chat can be extremely busy. So if you have notification settings on, you may want to disable it. And all of you can tweet and post on social media that you have attended this event here today to help us grow our community. Next slide. So firstly, all of this would not be possible without the support of our partners who are funding Race Equality Matters. A big thanks to our key partners, Green Park and Lloyds. Next slide. And a big thanks to the Collaboratory along with Green Park, who are our co-founders, and thank you to our lifetime visionary partner, BT, and also Auto Trader, HS2, Edelman, and Network Rail. It is important that we acknowledge their support, which means you can access all of the Race Equality Matters Solutions resources for free. but we are a not-for-profit and are very keen to remain sustainable to make a greater impact. Hence, we do need further funding. So if your organization would like to get involved with funding, sponsorship, or marketing opportunities, please do get in touch to find out more. I would be happy to speak to you. So please feel free to email me after this event. Next slide. Today's session is all about sharing how organizations can achieve Trailblazer status and also helping you to determine whether your organization is ready. We will explain what Trailblazers are, why they were created and their importance. We will go through how you can apply along with top tips. You will also hear from a successful Trailblazer and you'll hear from previous judging panelists on what they're looking for. We will also share some examples of what is good and give you an opportunity to ask questions, and we'll have a short poll. Next slide. On the off chance that you are new to Race Equality Matters, a very, very big welcome. Race Equality Matters is a not-for-profit and it aims to be a catalyst to move organizations and individuals from just talking about race to meaningful action that has a real impact. This is key. This is a key reason as to why Trailblazers was created and why it is more than an award. We also co-create concepts and solutions in collaboration with those with lived experience of racial inequality. The key is to help organizations make an impact, make the impact that we all want to see and indeed feel. Our solutions, as you can see here, are Race Equality Week, Tea Break, The Big Promise, My Name Is, and Safe Space Plus. Next slide. And you may have heard about this during Race Equality Week. There is also the 5-day challenge. That's 5 challenges that take 5 minutes each over 5 days, which was launched during Race Equality Week this year. Next slide. And we also have our Race Equality Matters jobs board. Next slide. And finally, the reason we're all here today, we have Trailblazers. So I'm going to hand over to Donna, who will now tell you a little bit more about Trailblazers, and I'll come back to you later. Oh, Donna, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Back on mute again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you. Well, thanks, Anna. I'm going to give you a bit of a background. I'm going to walk you through an overview of the process. And there is allocated time for Q&A. So if you could just save your questions until then that would be fantastic. So why Trailblazers? So for far too long, progress in tackling race inequality has been too slow. And there are many organizations out there that are doing a lot of talking and very little action. So when we did a survey, 48% felt that their organization talked, but took little action when it came to tackling race inequality. And a further 10% said their organizations only talk. So we created Trailblazer with the REM community to spotlight those organizations that are driving change. And the reason that we want to do this is so that they inspire others to follow in their footsteps. Next slide, please. So we also wanted to encourage those organizations that are driving change to keep up that momentum. And what was really positive was that during the Wave 3 debriefing event, 90% of attendees agreed that Race Equality Matters Trailblazers does encourage organizations to up their game and continue to make an impact. And you'll hear a Trailblazer reiterate that later in the session. So next slide, please. So fundamentally, awarding organizations with Trailblazer status is a way of recognizing what actually has a meaningful impact in the drive for race equality so that more organizations can look to follow in the footsteps of the Trailblazers. Also, in addition to this, a number of the co-creators of Trailblazers said that Trailblazers is setting a high bar that will accelerate progress, and it is a standard setter, an education tool, and a marketing tool, which we'll touch on soon. So achieving Trailblazer status can evidence to your employees, future employees, customers and clients, and your shareholders and investors and your community and any other stakeholders that your organization is serious, proactive, and committed when it comes to tackling race inequality. And they're just some of the key benefits of becoming a Trailblazer. So there are 2 types of Trailblazer status. So the first type is for organizations that have successfully run a race equality matters solution. So you can apply to be a solution Trailblazer for each of our solutions. So Safe Space Plus, Tea Break, My Name Is, and The Big Promise. This is a lifelong recognition. So it's yours forever because you've run it and you've shown that it's made a difference. So next slide, please. The second type of Trailblazer, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, are for both REM solutions and all other actions your organization has taken to tackle race inequality. So we're well aware that there are amazing solutions and initiatives out there that work, and we want to shine a light on them so that people are aware of them and so that they can learn from organizations like yourselves. So for this status, you can include REM solutions, but you don't have to. So next slide. So everyone initially applies for bronze, and then over time can progress to silver, then gold, then platinum, as a result of delivering a greater impact at each stage. So importantly, the awards for these status are time limited. And that's really one of the things that makes Trailblazer more than an award, because it's to ensure that organizations keep that momentum going and don't live off an award they achieved a long time ago with very little progress since. And sadly, it's a story we hear too often. So bronze Trailblazer status is valid for 18 months maximum, and you can apply for silver status after 6 months. And then as you progress, it gets a little longer. So silver status is valid for 24 months, gold is valid for 36 months, and platinum is valid for 48 months. So we've got Trailblazers from a variety of sectors. They include small to medium organizations as well as large organizations. Quite often they're at different levels of their journey. But the key thing is that they're driving impactful activity to tackle race inequality. So we're just going to show you a quick video of the organizations that were successful in our third wave of the Trailblazer series.
Trailblazer of Race Equality Matter Trailblazers. Solution Trailblazer, The Big Promise, Sported, NHS Chesterfield Royal Hospital. Solution Trailblazer for My Name Is, Gypsil, Camden Carers Trust, Heathrow. Solution Trailblazer for Tea Break, Heathrow again, Gypsil, City of Westminster, and our bronze Trailblazers, Mencap, Sussex Police, RX Global, Beasley, Nielsen, South Central and West Commissioning Support Unit, Camden Carers Trust, Rethink Mental Illness, Devon County Council, Clifford Chance, City of Westminster, The Growth Company, Riverside, Auto Trader, our fantastic partners, Sported again, and our first silver Trailblazers include Sutton County Council, the wonderful Northamptonshire Carers, and fantastic partners Mental Health First Aid England. Congratulations to all these wonderful Trailblazers. Wave 3.
So huge congratulations to them all. So we mentioned that Trailblazers can be used as a marketing tool earlier, and as well as us promoting Trailblazers through our communication channels, successful Trailblazers receive a toolkit of assets to help them promote and showcase their impactful work and amplify their Trailblazer status. So they include a certificate and letter of achievement, a Trailblazer medal logo, a press release, and social media assets. So next slide, please. So we're really looking forward to welcoming a new cohort of Trailblazers for our 4th wave. Applications are now open. We're offering a light review of your application if it's received by September the 11th. And the light review will give you feedback on where you could expand and add more detail before your application is sent to the independent judging panelists. And this will give you the best opportunity to showcase the work you're doing. And importantly, I think 89% of those that received a light review in the 3rd wave became successful Trailblazers. So we'd recommend this. So next slide, please. So Wasim, I hope this answers your question that I've seen in the chat. But so in a nutshell, the process is as follows, and we'll share these visuals with you afterwards. So applications are submitted via an online form, and Anna will take you through the questions shortly. If it's easier for you, you can also you can submit a video application instead. So as long as you answer all the questions and demonstrate the criteria outlined in the application form, and you would send that to anna@racequalitymatters.com. So firstly, as mentioned, the deadline for the light review is the 11th of September. So it's purely optional, and a donation for our time would be greatly appreciated, but it's not compulsory. If you don't make that, the final deadline for submission of applications is the 23rd of October. However, if we've reached our full quota for applications by the 11th of September, any applications submitted after this date will be added to the 5th wave of applications. So it's a good reason to get your applications in early. So after submissions are received, your application will be vetted to ensure it's suitable to be judged, and then it will be anonymized. Your application is sent to the judges on the 6th of November, and they have 2 weeks to assess the criteria of your application. And then as a result, the applications are determined successful, borderline, or have not met the criteria on this occasion. So successful applications will be announced during Race Equality Week 2024, which is the very first week in February. Hope it's in your diary, the 5th to the 11th. And then if an application is found to be borderline, each applicant receives visual and written feedback. They'll be given 14 days from the 27th of November for resubmission with improvements. So the deadline for this will be Friday, the 8th of December. The revised submission will be reviewed by the panel of judges by the 18th of December. And then again, if successful, as per the other successful Trailblazers, they'll be announced during Race Equality Week 2024. So after successful Trailblazers have been announced, all applications, both successful and those that did not reach the criteria at the time, will be offered a feedback report. The reports include strong areas of your application and suggestions for areas to focus on, as well as visuals of scoring from the judges. And many organisations have told us that they've used this report to shape their EDI objectives and plans for the coming year. So you can request a report when you submit your application and receive the early bird offer of 195 plus VAT. If you request the report after this date, it'll be £500 plus VAT. And the reports will be shared in March 2024. Next slide. So this is an example of what a successful Trailblazers report will look like. So it just gives quite a lot of detail. This is one for a borderline. Sorry, this is one for, sorry, that was one for one that hadn't met the criteria. And the next one is a one for a borderline on the next slide. So Anna will explain and go into a little bit more detail on how the applications are scored. So I'm going to hand over to Anna now. Thank you.
Hello again. So the next slide. Okay, so how does the judging work, and how are the decisions made? So Each application is reviewed and scored by independent judging panelists. All of these have diverse experiences and backgrounds and all identify as ethnically diverse. If you do know anyone who will be interested in the experience of being a judging panelist, please follow the link. And however, if you yourself would like to be a judging panelist, if you want to submit an application this round, you may have to wait for the next round. Next slide. To remove the risk of any biases, the applications are kept as anonymous as possible. The judges score them independently and questions are assessed on a scale of 0 to 5 from no evidence through to strong and clear evidence. And we will go through this in the questions shortly. Next slide. So the judges evaluate each question with the following scoring system. So 0, no evidence, 1, little to minimal evidence, 2, not quite enough evidence, 3, fair evidence, 4, good evidence, and 5, clear and substantial evidence. This is done for each of the questions that are submitted, and then all of the answers are collated. So after all of the scores are amalgamated and put through an algorithm, they will be given one of the 3 outcomes. So they will either be awarded Trailblazer status, they'll be borderline and given an opportunity to resubmit, or it will be that they have not quite met the criteria at this time. And we say that because we do hope that eventually all organizations do meet the criteria. Next slide. So having gone through the algorithm, here you can see an example of what a successful Trailblazer looks like. So you can see a lot of green and yellow, which indicate strongly positive scores. Next slide. And this is a visual of an application that has not quite met the criteria. So you can see there's quite a lot of reds and blues, which indicate typically low scores. And here is a borderline example where you can see a mixture of scores from the judges. So you have some greens, some yellows, some reds and blues. Next slide. Okay, so in a moment, we'll go through the questions and share what makes a good application. But before that, we thought it'd be good to share insights from a successful Trailblazer. So please watch this video of James Jackson, the People, EDI and Wellbeing Program Manager, and of SCW, and Isabel Weir, People and EDI and Wellbeing Project Manager from NHS South Central and West Commissioning Unit.
I think we're having a few problems with the sound.
Why was it important for your organisation to apply to become a Trailblazer?
It's important for our organisation to apply. As part of the wider NHS, there is a lot of narrative in terms of how inclusive the organisation is as a whole, the more it can do for BME inclusion. So within our organisation, as part of the NHS, it's important to apply for this award to see where we are and see how we benchmark against those that are doing it well, and to then showcase the fact that we are making progress in this space. But I think it's for those looking onwards and outwards, so those within the organisation, looking into our organisation, to see that this is an inclusive organisation. It is committed to racial parity. It is committed to BME inclusion. I think for those reasons alone, and help generate a psychologically safe space in terms of where you can work and where you feel like you belong, that's why it's important for our organisation to apply.
What impact did achieving your Trailblazer Award have on your organisation?
It continues to evidence the momentum that and the traction that we've gained since implementing our journey towards building a culture of belonging, and this external award and Trailblazer accreditation, if you will, evidences that greatly, but notably for members of our organisation from within the BME community. The other element is it actually shines a light on how far we have progressed. So to have an organisation like Race Equality Matters with a culturally ethnic diverse panel assess us independently and grade us at this level shows that we've come on a way, we're part way on our journey, and we're making positive progress towards BME inclusion and representation within the organisation.
Why would you recommend organisations apply to become a Trailblazer?
it was a really good experience applying for it. That there's a number of reasons I'd recommend it. One of them being that just doing the application between our team in EDI and Wellbeing and the BME network, we had a lot of time to reflect on the progress that has been made, which is a really positive experience in itself. But then, actually getting the award was kind of that validation of those things we'd put forward, particularly for the network, and seeing that kind of come to life through that application and through that award. But we've used the Trailblazer status already in our recruitment, and I think it's gaining a lot of energy for people within the organisation. It's not just what we've done and celebrating that, but what more can we do? So it's kind of generated some positivity and some energy around race equality, and got people talking about what more we can do.
Why do you think trailblazers are important?
I think they're important. So we were kind of aware of the Trailblazers programme a while ago, and we've joined Race Equality Matters events in the past as well. And one of the things that we always get out of them is what other people are doing, hearing about people that are doing some really innovative things in this space, and learning from that. And I think it's really amazing to be part of that, to feel like we are adding to that as well. I think the Trailblazers set a really good standard in terms of the innovation that people can come up with, the progress that can be made, and it's that accountability as well of we're not just going to say we're going to do it, we're going to do it.
Okay, so I hope you all found that video helpful. So we will now move on to the application itself. Once we've been through the questions, we'll open up for a Q&A. So you'll have an opportunity to have any of the questions that you have answered. So here you can see the solution forms, which are similar to the bronze application form. So the questions that we will go through will be similar. Next slide. So here you can see the bronze. As you may be aware, links to the application are on the website on Apply to be a Trailblazer. And again, if you have any difficulty in locating these, please let me know or email the info@ box. We will add a link for you to get to that page also in the chat. Next slide. Okay, so what makes a good application and what are the judging panelists looking for? I'll be going through the main 9 questions of the bronze application and showing examples of the type of information that you can include. And as I mentioned, there will be an opportunity to ask any questions after. Next slide. So on to the first question, what action has been taken? This question asks you to explain what action your organisation has taken in 2022 and 2023. We do appreciate the work may have begun before this, so please do reference if this is your first application. Next slide. So here are some examples of what we mean by action. So this can be any initiative or solution that your organisation have undertaken, and that can be ours or your own. It can be training or workshops that have been introduced. It can be a new strategic implementation or policy change, any events that you've held, collaborations with networks or the creation of networks, and overall, any type of data collection that has helped you to create change. Next slide. The next question is, how was this inclusive? So this is a key question, and this is about how action was approved by those with lived experience, and also asks how you have measured this. Next slide. So here are some examples of what we mean by inclusivity. So did your rates networks take part in the decision making? Have you conducted any surveys within your workforce? Have there been open and honest conversations where the experiences of ethnically diverse colleagues have been heard and then actioned? And were those with lived experiences included and considered in the decision making? On to the third question. So this is about how you maximize ethnically diverse employee engagement. So did communications reflect a safe, encouraging and inclusive environment for ethnically diverse colleagues? Next slide. So this question asks you to consider how you approached colleagues. So what comms did you use? How did you use language? And how did you prioritize psychological safety? Next slide. So this is a really important question, and this is about any challenges to inclusion. So what challenges did you face implementing change and how were they overcome? So this question requires a lot of transparency. On to the next slide. So some examples of what we mean by challenges to inclusion. So we know change is hard and we want to acknowledge that, and we want to acknowledge what you've done to get past that. So here are some examples. So have you changed policies, systems or processes, which can be easy to talk about, but actually getting colleagues to actually adopt it can sometimes be tricky. Did you have any issues within the culture of your organization? Did individuals feel included and heard and ready for change? Did colleagues and or leadership require training or workshops to effectively change? Did leadership get actively involved, or did you find it difficult to engage them? Or was collecting the data a challenge? Was there a lack of trust, a need to build safe spaces before colleagues would include themselves? Or even a lack of realization within the organization that change was needed? Next slide. And on to the fifth question, so impact. So this is about telling us what meaningful impact has been made within your organization. Next slide. So examples of what we mean by impact could be a range of things, which could include whether you've seen more participation, and that could be within initiatives themselves or within networks and groups or discussions. Have you seen changes in sentiment? Have you improved confidence and trust? Seen a change in the culture? Is there any progress and improvements that have been made that are supported by data, such as recruitment, retention, or promotion? Have percentages of those sharing data increased or decreased yearly? Are colleagues taking more opportunities and getting actively involved? And are colleagues endorsing these changes? Next slide. So question 6. So we're past halfway now. So how has this impacted colleagues? So this is a really important question that focuses on reflection. So please provide for this question, how meaningful impact has been determined by ethnically diverse colleagues? Next slide. And some examples of what we mean by that are you seeing higher satisfaction and safety within the work environment? Are you again seeing higher recruitment, retention or promotion, or the taking of opportunities? Are you seeing more visibility and participation from colleagues? Are more open conversations taking place? Or are you seeing changes in behavior and approach from allies or ethnically diverse colleagues and or leadership? Next slide. And on to question 7. So how was this different? How was the activity new or different for your organization? And some examples of what we mean by different. So to get different outcomes, we need to do things differently. So compare how your organization was before. So what's new? What has changed? Have you tried a new strategy or approach? Have you tried a different type of communication with your teams? Have you tried new initiatives or ways of working that you might not otherwise have tried? Have you tried new solutions and initiatives? And with this question, you can compare what you did before and what you did now and how it's working better for you. Okay, so on to the 8th question. So why was this brave? Why was the action and activity brave for your organization? And sometimes doing something new does require a little bit of bravery, and we like to acknowledge that. Next slide. So some examples that you could use to demonstrate how your organization has been brave. So you can talk about how there's been a taking on of more responsibility and accountability and who that's been taken on by. You can talk about where there's needed to be honesty about the improvements that needed to be made. Did you face resistance from the overall culture or leadership within your organization? Did you face repercussions, dissatisfaction with changes, and you still went ahead? Was there a requirement for retraining, which can take time and an allocation of resources? Did it require real involvement and consideration in areas that had not been looked at before? Or was it needed that there was a change as a whole, a change to approach, a change to processes, and a change from what was done before? For this question, you need to consider what it took for your goals to be achieved And have you done anything that surprised you, or was there anything that was more difficult to implement than you would have thought it was going to be, or easier than you would have thought? Next slide. And now we're on to the last question. So this is a really important question because Trailblazers are all about what you are going to continue to do, and it's about your real commitment to change. So this question is about the future actions that you've got planned. So some examples of what we mean by future action would be, next slide. So examples, of future action would be, how are you going to build and continue the momentum? So do you have in place new organizational strategies, collaborations, which could be with networks or external bodies? Are you going to run further initiatives and events? Do you plan to publish your data, such as the ethnicity pay gap, for example? Are you changing your recruitment processes? Are you offering new training opportunities and support and progression options? Or are you making any changes to the representation in your overall workforce and or leadership? And lastly, one of the most important things to consider when answering all of these questions is evidence. So what we have found is the key to a successful application is evidence. Our accredited panel of judges are evaluating the evidence that you've provided, and evidence in your answers is crucial. So you can provide any type of detail. So whether that is links to the data that you've published or sending over the data that you've collected. So in terms of evidence, the key things that we are looking at is evidence of impact, how ethnically diverse colleagues have been involved, demonstrate that their voices have been heard and supported. And for that, you can use lots of different types of evidence. So you can use testimonials and you can use survey data that you may have collected. And then another type of evidence that we like to see is how senior leadership have been involved. So where have they promoted the changes that have been happening or supported the changes that have been happening within the organization? So next slide. So before we find out more on what the judges are looking for and hear from a couple, Mills and Reeve, one of our successful Trailblazers, shared this. I'd recommend any organization applies for a Trailblazer award, even if you don't think you're quite there yet. When we achieved the Bronze Award, we received some great and very constructive feedback from the panel about what we were doing well and where we could focus our efforts in the future. Having external expert advice from an objective panel has been great as we seek to develop further. We thought it was really important to consider that because Trailblazers really does give you an opportunity to continue the work you're doing as well as support it and promote it. Okay, so now we thought it would be a good time for you to ask any initial questions on the process. To keep things moving, please ask your questions in the chat and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. And if you don't feel comfortable to send any messages in the chat, you can email me after this and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So Anna, we have a couple of questions in the chat already, so
okay,
it might be a good starting point. So are the timelines for the solution Trailblazers the same as the bronze Trailblazers?
Yes, they are. So all of the dates of submission and all of the dates where the judges will be looking over your application, it will be a combination of both the medals and the solution Trailblazers. So all of the dates are the same and you can apply at the same time.
Okay. How are the criteria for gold, silver, and platinum different to the bronze?
So when you first start off with bronze, one of the key points of the application is understanding that an impact has been made. As we said before, all types of organizations will apply and all start at bronze, and we recognize that organizations are at different levels on their journey to tackling race and equality. Now, as you move up a tier every time, we do start to ask for more information about what you're doing. So in the silver application, for instance, we want to see an improvement of scale by 25%, and there are different aspects that we'll be looking for at every stage, and usually it's just to show that the work you are doing is growing and having a larger impact.
Okay. Can you clarify the costs you mentioned, 195 and 500? Are they for all types? So that was for the feedback report, wasn't it?
Yeah, so for all of the for any type of application that you apply for, so whether that's a medal or a solution Trailblazer, you have the opportunity to have a feedback report. So whether you're successful or whether you do not quite meet the criteria at this time, if you would like to find out what the judges have said and how they have scored your application and any advice that they've given and how you can move the dial forward, if you select that you would like a report when you first submit your application, it's £195 plus VAT. And if you do this whilst your application is in process or afterwards, it's £500 plus VAT. And that's for all applications.
Brilliant. If we're not ready for this wave, when is wave 5 opening?
So we have not yet confirmed the dates for wave 5, but it will be next year. And as soon as we have confirmed those dates, we will be informing you.
Okay. Are awards only given to organisations, or can they be given to programmes within an organisation?
So at present, they are mainly given to organisations. For exceptionally large organisations, we can sometimes give them to specific located organisations. So if it's worldwide, but you have a UK option, then we can do it for that. At present, we have not given Trailblazers for programs, but that may be something that we look into. So I can follow up with you on that.
Okay. How does the algorithm respond if you have strong evidence in some areas but not others? Is there a certain percentage overall which enables achievement of the Trailblazer status?
Yeah, so there is an overall average of scores which will be shared with you. So for instance, if you're borderline, it means that you may have some high scores and some lower scores, but on average, you're just below threshold. So you're not quite meeting the successful criteria. And then we will come back out to you and let you know, but it is an average of all of the scores that you receive.
Okay. Currently running my business as a sole trader. I assume this wouldn't fit the criteria. And is there a minimum number of employees?
So at the moment, there isn't a minimum number of employees. We support both small and larger organizations. We will be working on a community trailblazer. So if there is work that you are doing, say, for instance, you have a small organization, but the work you are doing is helping quite a lot of people and ethnically diverse colleagues in different organizations, potentially, that trailblazer will be for you. And we will be launching that for the next wave.
Okay. Can the slides be shared? That we'll be sending a recording of this, and yes, that's not a problem. We'll send those in the follow-up email. Could you apply for a bronze and be advised to be upgraded to a silver?
So not exactly. So all organizations would apply for a bronze. And if you achieve a bronze, as we mentioned, so no matter where you are in your journey, if this is the first trailblazer that you are going for, it will have to be bronze. After 6 months, you will get the opportunity to go for a silver trailblazer. Now, because the questions are different in the bronze application, some of the criteria that is in the silver, you may already be achieving it. However, the questions within the silver application will give you an opportunity to showcase that. So then that's when you'll have the opportunity to apply for that one.
Okay. What's the criteria for achieving a Solutions Trailblazer award?
So for a solutions trailblazer, so you may have seen that we do have the My Name Is, Tea Break, Safe Space Plus, and the Big Promise. Now, if you have successfully implemented one of these solutions within your organization, so for instance, if you ran a tea break and you've continued to run tea breaks and they've grown within your organization and you believe that that's a successful implementation, you can then apply for a tea break trailblazer. It's the same with the Big Promise or Safe Space or My Name Is. So for instance, if you have downloaded the My Name Is solution and now the colleagues within your organization have implemented the phonetic spelling of their names into their signatures and you believe this has been successful and widely adopted within your organization, I'd advise you apply for a solution trailblazer for My Name Is.
Okay. I think I missed this one. Just forgive me if we have answered it. What area of the application do companies fall down on most? So they don't get Trailblazer status. Are there any typical areas that we've noticed over the past few rounds where people haven't achieved
So
criteria?
so I'd say that it has been supporting overall. So it can be different areas that they fall down on. I'd say sometimes it can be not demonstrating the impact, not giving enough detail about how the actions have been informed by those ethnically diverse colleagues and they've been part of decision making, or it can be the impact overall has not been very detailed or described. But overall, sometimes what we do see is a lack of evidence. So when you're achieving sort of milestones within your organization, you need to support that with evidence. So whether that's testimony or feedback, which you can share either, if someone has wrote to you in an email, or if they have shared it in a survey, you can share that information and you can anonymize it, or general surveys on sentiment about how people feel, or if, for instance, you're doing promoting via socials, you can share the amount of clicks, shares, who was involved, how were they involved. It's about really, really showing what is happening and really backing that up. So I'd say where people fall short often is too little evidence overall.
Okay. Is there a cost to apply for Bronze Award or either?
So at the moment, there isn't a cost to apply. At the moment, there is only a cost for the feedback reports, which are really, really valuable. But we try to make sure that this award is accessible to as many organizations as possible that are really making a difference. So at present, it isn't. It may be in the future, but not right now.
Okay. Do you have any experience on how long it takes to support the application? So basically how long it's taken to previous applicants to apply?
So it depends where you are on the journey, and it depends how supported you are with the application. So you have some organizations where there may be one or two people collating all of the data and answering all of the questions, and it may take them a little longer because, as you're aware, a lot of people have EDI as a second part to their actual job role. So sometimes that can take them a while. Other times you can have whole groups and whole networks that are taking part, and it can take them a shorter time. So it really depends on how much access you have to information, because another area could be that you're waiting to get the data to support the application. So it really varies across the board.
Okay. And then the final one, because we have to move on. If anyone does have more questions, you can always contact Anna directly as well. We share her email in the chat. So are the 9 questions same for solution Trailblazers, and you just answer them focused on the implementation of that solution?
No, so they're not exactly the same. Some of the questions are the same. So you'll have a few questions that are exactly the same, but they are about the solution. However, there are a few questions that are solution specific, but it won't be too different.
Okay, fabulous. So I hope that's answered your questions. And so Anna, what's next?
Okay, so bear with me a second. Okay, so just to help you a little bit more, we would now like to share an edited video from a couple of our previous judging panelists, and you'll hear why Trailblazers are important and what those panelists were looking for. So we have Jenna Bamiro from Capital Reporting, who is a capital reporting analyst, at Santander, and Shirley Asiju, who is a bid writer for Seeds for Impact. Okay, so we'll just share that now.
As a judging panelist, what were you looking for to determine whether an organisation should become a trailblazer?
I wanted to know what actions companies were taking, and they've been so varied, and that's been encouraging. But for me, it was also the evidence. A lot of the applications had evidence, with the stats and numbers that showed the differences that were the achievements that they were making. But what was very important for me was getting, an idea of the impact that was, impact on ethnic minority staff within the companies, and how they've been empowered as part of the journey, if you like. So I needed to see that validation from them.
Personally, for myself, there was kind of two areas that I was looking at. So I was trying to see sort of how organizations are trying to get involved and understand what the issues are with racial diversity, and really try and tackle those issues and understand what the racial barriers are within their business. And then secondly, I was wanting to see something that's a bit more quantitative, i.e. seeing sort of Black and ethnic minority recruitment increasing across all levels, especially senior management, seeing D&I staffing levels reflective of the size of the business, and just evidence that they're really trying to close those sort of ethnicity pay gaps, understand what the disparities are, and just really coming up with a plan of making significant changes.
Why do you think trailblazers are important?
So for a long time, we know that companies have been signing charters and, drawing up policies and stating that they're equal opportunities employers, and that's all words. And so with Trailblazers, which focuses on actions, I just felt that is what we need. That is what we need right now, the change. But then it also reminds me about, somebody running on a trail, where you hit the dips and, the rocky paths. It's not an easy thing to do. So any company that does get Trailblazer status has to be really highly commended. But it also reminds me of being on a podium. When you do get to Trailblazer status, you are on a podium, encouraging other people to come onto that podium as well. So yeah, it's for me, that's quite key.
Okay, so again, we hope that was helpful. And so to conclude, what judges want to know what you have done, and they want that backed up with evidence and the voices of your ethnically diverse colleagues. So we want to help all of you to achieve Trailblazer status. So here are the top 5 tips. So explain the work you have done as if you're explaining it for the first time. So as much detail as you can. The more supporting information and evidence you can provide, the better. Show the impact on and the endorsement from ethnically diverse colleagues within your organization. Show how ethnically diverse colleagues inform decisions. And show how you identified barriers and how you overcame them. So we thought you might be interested in some examples of some of the activity that successful Trailblazers included within their application. And we've provided some snapshots, but you can read in more detail on the website. So here we have Cornwall Council. So Cornwall Council provided a Tackling Racism Toolkit, which covered how to recognise racism in the workplace with clear actions on how to address it. This provided their staff with practical guidance on recognising racism and how to challenge it proactively. And next slide. And here we have Mills and Reeve. So for the 2nd year running, they provided a Reach Development Award in partnership with Birmingham Black Lawyers, which provided an opportunity for 2 law students from ethnically diverse backgrounds to win a £1,000 bursary and a week of work experience and mentoring from a senior lawyer. The network also signed off on participation in the 10,000 Black Interns Programme. Next slide. And here we have CDS cooperatives who implemented My Name Is. Through the launch of the campaign, this opened the opportunity for honest and open conversations. This positively impacted colleagues and led to the drawing out of allies among their customer and client community. Next slide. And lastly, we have Mental Health First Aid England. So Mental Health First Aid England have CEO sponsorship and create quarterly progress reports to enhance accountability on their journey to tackling race inequality. They also established an internal cross-organizational race network, Sapphire Champions, that hosts monthly meetings to discuss how anti-racism and education can be embedded within the organization. Next, so there are various case studies of these and other Trailblazers on the REM website. So if you would like to read more on our successful applicants, you can find them there. Also, if you email me, I can also send you some examples. So here you can see what one looks like. Next slide. So here is a snapshot of some of our successful trailblazers. So you can see quite a few logos here. These are the change makers that you'll be joining should your application become successful. So just to reiterate your next steps. So Trailblazer application deadline is 5 p.m. Monday, the 23rd of October. And if you would like it pre-vetted and to ensure your application is received this round, the deadline for that is the 11th of September. After today's event, we will send you the link to the applications and further information. And we will be really grateful if you could take part in a quick poll. This will help us to understand where you currently are and help shape future sessions for the Trailblazers before we give you the last information that you're going to need. Okay, so Svetlana, please release the poll. Hopefully you can all see the poll, so you will have a few minutes to fill it out now. Also, please be aware for question 10, some of the answers are slightly longer, so you might want to extend the poll to the side or just hover over it so you can fully see. Okay,
Great
so
to
we're
see
getting...
that people are going to apply.
Yeah.
Phyllis. And a variety as well. Bronzes and solutions too, which is great to see. I think the key thing is you know, if you're potentially thinking that you're not going to apply because you don't feel you're there yet, it might be worth just having a quick chat with Anna, just so that she can sort of share some more with you.
Yeah, I'll send you all the details.
Yeah, because you've had sort of feedback from some organizations that, you know, felt maybe they hadn't done enough, but actually they have achieved Trailblazer status on the back of it. And I think, you know, we quite often talk to people that are like, you know, until they sit down and think about all that they have achieved, they feel that they haven't done very much. And then suddenly it's like, well, actually, we have done quite a bit. So it's worth that.
Yeah, definitely. It's really important to count the small steps. We do get quite a few people that they've done quite a few little things and it's had a great big impact, but they don't take it under consideration. So literally consider every single thing you've done, because that may be the thing that gets you over the line to achieving a Trailblazer.
Okay. So how are we doing? We're nearly there. We nearly got everyone in. So 83. Shall we? I'm just conscious of time. We've got 2 minutes.
Okay, so Svetlana will complete the poll now. Thank you everyone who took part in the poll today. We will be sending links to today's events and further information afterwards. So bear with me. Okay, so next slide, just some last information for you. Okay. So just to help your organisation continue on its journey to tackling race inequality, here are a couple of events that we have coming up soon that may be of interest. So we will have our Race Network Leads and Future Leads virtual networking event, The Power of Leaders in Driving Real Change for Race Equality, on the 14th of September. This is a virtual event and will take place from 12:30 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. You will hear about what senior leaders do to have an impact on tackling race inequality and lead with 50+ ideas exclusively for those that attend. And this event will focus on what leaders can do to create change. And the second event we have up, so we have our Get Ready for Race Equality Week 2024, 5 months to go event, which will take place on the 21st of September 2023. And this will be from 12:30 p.m. to 1:45 p.m. And during the event, we will have an interactive session. Again, you will leave with 50+ ideas and insights to help you plan. You'll be the first to hear the theme for Race Equality Week 2024, so you don't want to miss that. And you will hear about the new solutions that we have planned. Next slide. Okay, so we briefly mentioned it earlier, but if you haven't heard about our jobs board, please check it out on the website. It's an opportunity for your organization to reach and attract a diverse pool of talent. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can email me and I'll be happy to get back to you. So to wrap up, a huge thank you again to our partners and sponsors. As I mentioned, we are a not-for-profit, so if you'd like to help fund or explore sponsorship or marketing opportunities, please do get in touch. A big thank you to all of you for joining us today, and we do look forward to seeing your applications. Please remember, Trailblazers is more than an award. Okay. Thank you all so much. It's great to see so many of you attending.
Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to having your applications and potentially featuring you as our future Trailblazers. Thank you.